Hello, Frankie here from Vibrant Center for Voice and Movement, and today I want to talk about why your voice is your body. That sounds really funny. That either sounds like a very obvious statement to make or like a very bizarre statement to make. People often think of their voice as being this disembodied thing that comes out of them, and so movement is not related to voice at all. And actually, in fact, they are intimately related because, of course, your voice comes from your body. Your voice is the result of a whole host of muscular and neurological actions that are taking place. A really great example of why this is jaw and tongue tension. I work with a lot of people who experience jaw and tongue tension and often then become very focused in on how do I work with my tongue or how do I work with my jaw and eradicate tension at that site. However, that tension can actually be linked to tension in the diaphragm, to tension in the psoas muscle, to tension in the pelvis or the lower back, because of course everything is connected. And often what happens is that as we grow older, or for those of us who menstruate and have hormonal fluctuations over time, and also those of us who hit puberty, that because our vocal folds are then changing, we will actually find that it takes more energy, more breath to be able to get the vocal folds to vibrate sufficiently to make sound so that we can speak. The thing is, we don't necessarily consciously notice that that's what's happening. But then what we'll do is we'll use compensations in our bodies to be able to get that end result of a voice out. This is why we cannot neglect the whole body, from the feet all the way up to the top of the head. So today, I want you to bring your awareness of your voice from a physiological perspective. For starters, tense your knees and tense your butt and tense your stomach and tense your shoulders and tense your throat. And notice what happens to your voice here. Let's just say ha ba 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 ba. Ha ba 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 ba. Yeah. And then shake that out. Find your breath. And notice what you feel in your body now that you've released some of that tension. Now that's just a metaphor because, of course, we'll have habitual tension that we don't consciously feel. So all the more important to be able to release. However, if the underlying need isn't being met, then simply releasing is going to mean using a different compensation or using the body in another way, which can cause strain. There's a really great story that I like about an actor who was playing Phantom of the Opera, and he was losing his voice. So he went to work with a voice teacher, and in the studio, the voice teacher is like, "You have great technique. I have no idea what you're doing to make you lose your voice." And then, of course, this voice teacher went and saw him perform on stage in Phantom of the Opera and realized that all of this stuff that this actor was doing for his character was then creating a lack of support for the voice. So he was having to utilize his body in a different way to be able to get all of that voice out. And it was causing strain because, of course, his body wasn't used to working in that way and wasn't made to be working in that way. These are very small muscles. I'm sure you might have pulled a muscle or done a physical injury, and have you noticed at some point in your life, and have you noticed then that you'd start walking funny and then other parts of you would be hurting because you're compensating and you're using your body in a way that it's not designed to be used. So this is why technique is so important for singing and acting and simply just speaking in the world. Let's do a small little exercise that I can lead you through in a short period of time. I want you to take a standing scrunch. So scrunch all of the muscles, not just what we did when we locked the knees and the hips and the butt and the throat and the shoulders, but scrunch the face and scrunch the lips around and scrunch the toes and the feet. Scrunch all of the muscles in the back of your body. Lift up your pelvic floor and breathe. So notice you can still breathe through tension, no matter where that tension shows up. And now I want you to stretch wide. Out as wide as you can, take up as much space, open your eyes. Maybe there's a yawn. Stretch as tall as you can. And now take this into a shake. And it can be a lazy, gentle shake. Shake your head. Shake your torso. Shake your arms and your legs. And let's make some blubs with the lips. Yeah. And now I want you to imagine that you are suspended from a puppet string by your head, and everything else is just flopping. Let your jaw hang. Let your belly go. Let your knees soften. Imagine your body in your mind's eye, but a body without muscles. Just let your bag of bones body hang suspended from this puppet string. And breathe. And now gently, if your eyes are closed, let your eyes open. And bring your awareness to your tailbone. I want you to just imagine that your tailbone is hanging downwards towards the floor, and it's as if you have a pendulum attached to your tailbone. I want you to roll your tailbone in a circle. You can pick any direction that you'd like. Let your knees be soft. And breathe. Keep letting that jaw be loose. Keep letting that tongue soften. And now change direction. Rolling that tailbone as if that pendulum is just making a circle along the floor. And now I want you to make a figure of 8 with that pendulum. It can be forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, and reverse. Notice if one way is more difficult than another. And now I want you to make that figure of 8 across this dimension, across the horizontal dimension. So side to side. Let your arms be heavy. Let your knees be soft. And reverse direction. And make sure that you're doing this without engaging your rectus muscle. So your rectus muscle is the six-pack muscle. It's a more superficial abdominal muscle, and I want you to keep it soft. So you can put your fingers, just find your sternum, and then put your fingers underneath your sternum in that line. And just check in that you aren't using that rectus, that you're letting that rectus be soft. And then gently shake the body out while blowing some blubs. Great. And I want you to shake from your head down to your tailbone. And then shake from your tailbone up to your head. Nice. And of course you could hear that I was using my pitch as well. Hello. So I want you to send, oh my goodness, all of these notifications. I want you to send a pitch from high to low, just on your blubs. Notice if your rectus got in there. Let's make a figure of 8. High to low, so figure of 8 first. I'm going to go left to right for this one. And then send your pitch on blubs from high to low. Take a pause. Did that feel different? Try it again, figure of 8. This time I'm going to go forward to back. Great. So I want you to notice your own experience in this and just take in some information. Did the body get clenched? Did it get tough to be able to keep moving that figure of 8 as you were then thinking about making sound? Or were you able to stay loose and open? One more time, high to low. Great. And now low to high. I'm going to go side to side. Nice. And now I'm going to go back to front, low to high. And then shake that out and make some blubs. Nice. So this is just information. This is a great exploration for you to build awareness of what's happening in your body to make sound. Then, of course, I'd go to open vowel sounds. There's a nice break, which is absolutely okay, especially for where I am in my own practice today. There's something called subglottal pressure. Something below here does have to squeeze. The thing is that often people use the rectus, or they'll use muscles around the throat, or they will use muscles in the rib cage, the intercostal muscles, to create that squeezing. And then that's not conducive to having an open, resonant sound that lands on microphones, that lands on scene partners, that lands on an audience, that makes the watcher, the viewer, feel something. This is why it's so important to be able to give the work of voice support to the larger muscle groups, the deeper muscle groups that aren't here. I always liken it to a tube of toothpaste. I'd rather be squeezing from the bottom towards the top than to be karate chopping in the middle like your rectus does, right? Also to be able to use muscles that can be utilized to differing degrees so that I have more nuance. So that if I'm having a big emotional scene, I can really hold enough muscle tension to give my voice the support that it needs, but that I'm not then giving that kind of sound to a more intimate scene. So it's really important to be able to build nuance both in how we use our bodies to express emotion and how we use our voices to express emotion. That is why the foundations course, the core course, and the private lessons that I teach are so important to me, because when I was training, it was voice class and movement class and acting class. And while you were in voice class, you were really wishing you could go do some more acting class, because how is voice related to acting? It took me a very, very long time to be able to sufficiently integrate the two. I think there's value to learning these topics or these skills in isolation at times, to be able to bring the microscope and focus in on a portion of an actor's skill. But when they aren't being married together at a point, then we miss out. And so often the voice becomes the last thing to be addressed by people who are working on building a career in acting or in public speaking. The thing is, acting doesn't happen intellectually. Acting isn't happening in the frontal cortex of the brain. It's not done simply by analyzing text, which is the area that I started in when I started acting, but rather it's up on his feet, and acting occurs through vibration, through feeling the nervous system, through feeling the breath. So if this interests you, if you are a vocal, physical, and emotional athlete, then I invite you to register for my Foundations course, which is going to start up again on the first week of June and will run on Wednesday evenings Eastern Time from 7 to 10 o'clock for 10 weeks. I hope to see you all there. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.